Hello, welcome to the third and final installment of our three-part series on Bohemianism. In this week's episode, we're finally going to address the most popular definition of Bohemian, the trope of the impoverished artist living on the fringes of society. We will detail how the combined impacts of the French and Industrial Revolutions caused Bohemians to first emerge in Paris during the 1830s, and how the cultural figure was defined and popularized by Henri Murger's Scenes of Bohemian Life and Giacamo Puccini's La Bohème.
Wow, you killed it on the French pronunciations there.
Yeah, I mean, I did so much research for this week, and I heard, people say their names a ton of times.
Yeah, no.
And this week's episode, we're going to get back to doing things weekly after this one. So this summer, we were kind of taking a bit of time away.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had much of a break since we started this almost 2 years ago. We had gaps for the first time kind of ever.
Yeah.
So hopefully you forgive us for that, and we're going to get back to doing it more frequently.
Mm-hmm. All right. So to kind of connect this back to stuff we were talking about in the episode on Manouche jazz, the phrase Bohemian comes from like a misunderstanding, basically. Like Bohemia is a region in the Czech Republic, modern day Czech Republic or Czechia. But when Romani people started to arrive in France in the 15th century, there was a misunderstanding and they believed that they came from Bohemia originally. So any trait that you could apply to Romani people became termed Bohemian.
Yeah. And so those traits, starting in the 1830s, people started to say that artists had the qualities of Bohemians, of the Romani people. Mm-hmm. And that is for a couple of very interesting reasons. Basically, my conceptualization of what an artist is today is directly linked to what a Bohemian was in the 1830s. Mm-hmm. A lot of the traits I saw in my peers during art school and my peers in my social circle are almost identical. And I'm going to point that out a lot as we go through the next section on what caused them to emerge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of the show is we talk about differences from the past. We always, I think, bring it back to similarities in the end, but we don't often talk about similarities to the 1830s. This feels like we're pushing back on the earliest kind of periods that we talk about. But I like that. This does feel like a natural far outbound for us.
And it goes a bit farther back than that too, even. You can construe an argument that way.
Yeah. Basically, in this book, this researcher mentions that there was a book from the 1790s that references artists as living a bohemian lifestyle, but it doesn't seem to have sold widely, and no one like Henri Murger.
Yes.
And all right, nailed it. Or Felix Piat, I'm guessing his name. They don't mention him at all. So, I mean, it's that thing that I always like to kind of observe, that is if there's a social phenomenon, then there is some early echo of it, maybe 20 to 40 years earlier, that were kind of bubbles up and dies. And then later it is widely understood, written about, codified, and understood as a schema. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's the aphorism that there's nothing new under the sun. Mm-hmm. And I hate when people are right with it, because I want there to be new things.
I want new things under the sun.
Yeah. But no, it's totally the case.
Yeah.
And a lot of the episodes we've done, the newer sort of subcultures, aesthetics, cultural phenomenon, sometimes in, the modern day, the term is coined first, and then the sort of cultural phenomenon happens later. This one, the cultural phenomena happened first, and then it actually took 2 decades or longer for someone to come around and really identify it and spread its popularity.
Yeah, I think that's a pre and post internet divide, honestly. Yeah. C-punk was they came up with the word first, then had to reverse engineer what the aesthetic would look like.
Yeah, I mean, even with yuppies and metrosexuals, which were approaching the internet age, those ones, there were men exhibiting those qualities first before the think pieces came out.
Yeah.
So what was the first thing that caused Bohemianism to emerge in Paris? It was the French Revolution and how it caused the patronage system to collapse. So prior to the 1790s, there was an aristocratic class in France, and artists would have a direct relationship with wealthy patrons who would commission them to create works of art. And so they would have a stable source of income, and they knew exactly what they were supposed to do, and they didn't have to compete in the marketplace like they did after the patronage system went away.
Yeah, and so for France, the end of the patronage system was very sudden, and that was through violent revolution. But for the rest of Europe, they would eventually feel the effects of a modern capitalist system that would erode away the kind of traditional rich class of actual royalty, and then create this new bourgeoisie class.
Yeah. it really did emanate out of Paris to every other part of the world. Many people would read about these lifestyles in France and then sort of add to the legend by emanating that lifestyle, replicating it.
Yeah.
So after the French Revolution, artists were at the mercy of capitalism.